For them, I feel like it's more of like the legacy aspect to it, but the biggest thing of why it's so deserved is just the dedication, from a young age to really dedicating yourself.
How's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wax Talk with Raw Mints. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Bruce.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the recent decision by the NCAA to allow players to start making money off of their name, image, and likeness, and what that could mean for the hobby and future releases of products, maybe some deals with Panini or Topps before they hit the pros. We'll be diving into all of that. But before we get into that, as always, if you could please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share with a friend, rate, review if you can. Again, this really does help us out. We see our numbers steadily climbing and going up each week, so we appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your week to listen to us and binge this, or however you'd like to listen to this podcast. We appreciate you, and we see you out there, and we thank you for your support. So without further ado, let's get into it, man. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about the recent decision to be able to start allowing players in the U.S., at least with the NCAA, to start making money off of their NIL, which is name, image, and likeness. This has been something that's been in talks for a very long time in the NCAA. There's a lot of people that oppose it. There's a lot of people that are proponents of it. I personally am a proponent of it. I feel that these young men and women are putting a lot on the line. They're choosing their path of being a student athlete, and at any given moment, their career could be over. We've seen it before where a player gets injured in college and they just never go on to do anything, and they're left without any money, without anything. So I think that this is a really good incentive. I think this is the right move in the right direction. It's about time, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that'll say that this is going to hurt the game. This is going to hurt college basketball, college football, because people are going to be already getting paid, and there's just going to be a lot of different conflicting interests. But me personally, especially when it comes to football, there's so many people that we've never even heard of because they got hurt in college, and they never made it to the pros. How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, for you, I was going to ask for you, as I know as a long time, avid college sports fan, especially for football and basketball. I mean, do you feel that this has been a long time coming? I mean, before we even get into the cards aspect of it, I mean, is this something that you've seen coming for a while now?
Yeah, I think it's at least been in talks for maybe I know it's been in the conversation for at least the last 10 years. I remember there was a lot of people that were pushing for it back then, and I never understood it. At first I was kind of against it because it's like, oh, this is going to ruin the college game. But when you kind of think about what, players are putting on the line, especially football players, and how easy it is to get injured, that's why it's kind of crazy, and it's kind of sad to see, it used to be right after a player, makes the pros, they usually have the money to get surgeries. They usually have the money to be injured, and to finally take care of that injury that they've been playing with their last few years of college because they were trying to do their best to make the pros. And you really want to try to put your best foot forward, and sometimes that means risking your health. And I feel that now players are going to have the incentive to focus more on their health. If they're making money off of their name, which they should have. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. My biggest problem with it was, okay, take a school like Alabama, right? One of the biggest college football programs in the country, probably makes more than a lot of universities combined. And for the longest time, I mean, they've been at the top of the totem pole in college football. And those jerseys fly off the shelves. They always have that next quarterback. They always have a quarterback that's in the top 5 in the draft class, or at least a player or a running back in the top 5 of the NFL draft each year. So that school just makes so much money. We're talking billions of dollars in revenue from tickets, from merchandise sales, from all of these things that without players, I don't think would really exist.
For them, I feel like it's more of like the legacy aspect to it, but the biggest thing of why it's so deserved is just the dedication, from a young age to really dedicating yourself in college sports or even, whatever professional league. I mean, players are dedicating their lives, conditioning, training constantly, spending majority of their lives training, just like work, you know what I mean? People dedicate their lives to work every day. And it becomes repetition, you get better at it, and for athletes, I mean, it grows that way, it shines that way. If they stay healthy and conditioned, then they continue to get better in their position, make it to professional leagues. But it's just more of the notoriety aspect of it, as it should be for certain college sports, especially in football, man, because I mean, running backs, you know how hard it is in the NFL for running backs, their careers to continue to, unless you're Frank Gore, who's been playing
Right.
since like 1862. But he's just like a rare example of that. But just the dedication, because you were talking about so many players we don't even know about because their careers are ended, and they had a good run in college. And that's still respectable. And that's also another point about this whole topic.
And nowadays, we have players that are playing well past what used to be the prime age. We have Tom Brady, who is still winning Super Bowls at his
Yeah,
age.
20 plus years.
Right. We have LeBron, who's still winning championships and still competing at a high level. Even people like Melo. We have so many people, Chris Paul. There's all these people that have, kind of proven the common misconception of the age thing. And yeah, they do have a lot of physical and athleticism to be able to make it that far. But that having money in these professionals, you're going to have the best trainers, you're going to have the best nutrition, you're going to have the best, medical team. You're going to be surrounded by these people that are going to do whatever they can to prolong your career, because if you're playing, then they're getting paid, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
if you can start that at a younger age, if you can start making money, if say you're like Zion Williamson, right? Say Zion, let's go back to whenever he was at Duke. And I mean, let's be honest, players do get some money. There's colleges that get in trouble all the time for paying recruits, paying players illegally and under the table. But I mean, what are you going to do? These people have families. Like, if you're the number 1 overall pick, like a Zion, and you have been that guy since you were on the court in college, and the school, Duke, is definitely making tons of money off of their athletic program, off of the basketball program. Like, and what is this guy supposed to do? He's got family to take care of. He's got family that helped him get to where he is. Like, he's just supposed to just be broke until he makes the league, if he can stay healthy enough to make the league. So in my opinion, I think it's the smart players, the smart athletes are going to take in consideration their health and the longevity of their career. I think that there's going to be some athletes that might not make the right decisions, but nowadays, with the examples of LeBron and Tom Brady, Chris Paul playing in their prime, with these examples of people being able to play for a very long time, I think that it's kind of changing the mindset of players to, oh, okay, if I want to be playing at that age in my late 30s and my 40s, I need to start taking care of myself now. I need to start eating the right foods. I need to start using the right medical staff and training staff to prolong my career. And I think that's a great thing. And if you're making money, you can afford to do that.
Yeah. And taking their mental and physical health serious. You see more and more players too that like, especially with the NBA, you see players that are still actually trying to complete degrees and stuff like that, which is actually really cool.
Cam
You know,
Johnson.
just yeah, Cam Johnson, go
Let's go
Suns.
Suns.
But yeah, more and more players, you know, of all sports that continue to do that, you know, and Larry Fitzgerald is another example as well, you know, somebody in the league that continued to better himself, you know, with whatever he was studying in college or whatever. And you see more and more people that, I mean, just working their butts off for real. But getting into the card aspect of it, I think as long as you've collected cards, you very rarely went for like a specific sport for college. From thinking back of college players that you liked back in the day to now, I mean, have you specifically been drawn to any set with the modern of like Prism draft picks or going back to the older like 90s classic with football and baseball? Has there been anything that's caught your attention as far as cards go?
I really like the way draft picks looks. I like the ultra modern draft picks for both football and college. I like the parallels, I like the colors. It seems a lot easier to pull those colors and parallels in those draft picks because they're just kind of loaded with those players. I personally think that having those draft picks cards, it's going to be easier to pull those players because I remember opening draft picks for Zion's rookie year for 2019, and I pulled like out of like one blaster, I pulled three Zions, a couple Jaws, and some parallels too. Pulling those cards was easier, you know, because there's not all of these veteran base cards that you're sorting through. It's literally just the top of the recruit class, or at least the projected recruiting class for the NBA, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point to make too, because if college sports, especially in the card market, continue to grow because of this whole movement, does that mean you're talking specifically about Zion, Ja, Rui, RJB, all those guys? Like that's technically that's like the first Prism draft picks, I believe, for basketball. So does that mean that that gains some sort of significance because of that? As far as you know Prism goes for collegiate, you know, because you got to think that Topps, Panini, they're both going to take advantage of this movement somehow, you know, and they already have the products there as far as minor leagues or collegiate stuff goes.
Right. And
So I mean,
that's kind of the next point I wanted to make, and how it relates to the hobby is there's going to be some, you know, like you just said, Topps and Panini are going to be taking full advantage of this new opportunity to
and
sponsor
they've
good
already
kids.
been there. They've been there, you know, because even Topps, you have Topps draft picks and prospects, which has been a thing. Even thinking like with Larry Fitzgerald's rookie year, and like it's like that kind of stuff has been around for a long time. So it's like I feel like they're gonna obviously do something, continue to make product because of it, but they also like as a collector, you look at like the first, kind of like the Bowman first or like the first card of things, you
Right.
know, you always look towards that first set, which is also really cool. So for college collectors, does that, I mean, do you feel like that's going to gain some significance?
I personally think so. And I know we brought it up on a previous episode when I mentioned the Trevor Lawrence deal with Topps, because
Yeah.
Topps doesn't have the license to the NFL. They don't have the license to the NBA. They just have the license to the MLB and obviously soccer. But you're going to start seeing those types of movements as far as that star quarterback or that star basketball player in college. That like exclusive Topps Trevor Lawrence release. There were some pretty sick cards in there. I really like the artwork and the designs, but I feel like that was just a small taste of what's to come. And what's kind of crazy is to think that, say that there is, I think it's easier to talk about basketball because football is such a unpredictable sport in my opinion. You can see players get injured so quickly because it's such a physical, very very physical sport. So there's just going to be a lot more risk, I think, in the football market. But when it comes to basketball, not saying that there's also risk because players get injured all the time, but there's, I think there's going to be these opportunities for these huge players like LaMelo Ball, like Zion, like these types of players that everybody knows, like, okay, maybe who knows how they're going to do in the NBA, but right now, this is the number one recruit in the NBA. and they're going to be the number one recruit until they get drafted, and they're going number one. Like I feel like it's a little bit more predictable in the NBA for players to know, oh, I'm going number one, like long in advance. So I think that as soon as Topps or Panini figure that out and they know, like, okay, this is the guy, this is that person or girl, this is that person, this is the person that we're going to go after and we're going to sign exclusive deals for. And I just think they're going to be able to jump on that sooner. And we're as collectors, we're going to be able to get those XRCs or those RCs a lot sooner than the same year as the draft, because now they
Yeah.
can market those players.
That's what I was thinking too. You said XRCs. It's almost like that Bowman first, and a thing like it's cool, but like I really hope that it doesn't become that college sports have so many products, just like, you know what I mean, like NFL and NBA products. There's so many different products. Like I hope it stays to a point where like they get a grasp on all sports, and it really just comes down to like, and we're getting back to the point of saying that Topps and Panini go back to collaborating, where you have them branched out for all the sports, with the logos, everything.
Well, that's actually one part of the deal with the NCAA, that they're not allowed to use the team's or the school's likeness.
So it's going to be like Panini products for baseball.
Right, exactly. Like that's like one of the one stipulations, which is kind of weird to me, but whatever. I guess maybe they don't want to be held liable.
Yeah, but it's also disheartening because I know that a lot of people turn away from like really great, like even national treasures for baseball and stuff like that, like really dope, beautiful on card autos, but they don't have the logo. So
Right.
like you bringing that up now, I'm wondering if that's gonna be an issue, But eventually they're gonna get it all together, like where we'll have Topps Chrome for football again and basketball. Like I really believe in that. Like it's gonna be a shareable market that way at some point, hopefully.
That's going to be the deals that is going to be on Panini and Topps. They're going to cast a wider net. So they're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to actually sign an exclusive deal with Duke to use their logos and their likeness, or North Carolina, or Kentucky, or these huge basketball schools. We're going to sign these specific deals with these colleges, because those colleges are like, oh, we're still going to get our money, So they're going to be able to like, okay, well, if we sign Duke to a 4-year deal, we have access to all of their stars. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of those types of deals happening. And really, outside of those rare cases of maybe a European player like a Luka Doncic or a Giannis, when it comes to the American NCAA, to the college level, you really only need to have exclusive deals with like 5 schools, if we're being honest. And that's the reason why you do see those Duke college cards, in the Prism draft picks. I think it's going to be kind of cool. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out now that players can just pretty much sign away their name and likeness to companies and card companies. Because there's every sort of everything, all products, all types of products, not just cards, but energy drinks, sports drinks, chewing gum, chips. Like there's going to be food, all kinds of different things, restaurants. There's going to be so many opportunities for these players to make money through advertising and through exclusive partnerships with companies and businesses. So there's going to be so many people knocking at people's doors.
Oh yeah, and shoe deals.
Shoe deals, exactly.
All kinds of stuff. And speaking just on like the card aspect of it, like I feel like what would be cool for basketball and football specifically, leave baseball alone because they already got their first rookies. We keep going back to like the first cards, like the XRCs and stuff, but like it could be really beneficial for football and basketball. Getting like that college card is what's considered that prospect card, that XRC card, you know what I mean? That's that. And then you go straight to the rookie year, and then you have the rookie cards and the abundance of whatever products. But like a smart move would be limiting it. I know that Topps and Panini are going to really try to capitalize on this movement, and I hope that they just don't create a bunch of different products for it, because it'd be really cool, especially for the collector, to have that true first card. Like I think that's always been a cool factor with college sports, like even with Prism, and I've liked it. I'm not opposed to it. it's just for me, it's just like I've never focused on college sports, and if I do have college rookie cards, it's of like Shaquille O'Neal and Marshall Falk and Jamal Mashburn and like Jason Kidd and like random names like that, which those cards don't have a lot of value, but they're still college cards in their rookie year or maybe a year before,
Right.
so those kind of things could see some love. You might, because of all this, you might see more people trying to pick up some PSA 10s, even if they exist. Specifically, even thinking of like Jason Kidd and Grant Hill's rookie year, just thinking of like their college cards, and like it's weird to think that those things could gain value. But if this whole topic, continues to grow as it should, and it will, I feel like as a collector's point of view, people are going to start getting more into those college cards. Maybe not, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of what college cards I have right now that are
Right.
worth grading.
Right. And I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see. I think that it will be cool. The good thing about it is we already have somewhat of an example of prospecting cards or prospect cards, like with first Bowmans in baseball, right?
Yeah, but even before that, just to note, I mean, with baseball, and like Derek Jeter has a lot of rookie cards that don't have a lot of value, but they came out in, his rookie year was 93. I mean, he has a lot of actual like minor league cards from 93, and he has some 92. I believe there's like an Upper Deck minor leagues
Right.
1992 card that he has. So things like that, like this stuff has existed for a while. It's just now with the modern players, you're going to see more of a movement with it. But as in terms of cards go, it's always been around. You know what I mean? It just hasn't been the most popular.
Right. And who knows? I mean, it could just stay the same as far as interest goes, but I just know that Topps and Panini are both going to they're chomping at the bit right now to be able to pick up a standout star.
What we're saying as far as like a commercial type of way, and with shoes is a huge, but there's just going to be a lot of big moves as far as this goes. It's just, we're just kind of on the outside looking in as far as cards go, because you've had these collegiate cards for quite some time now. And, specifically now with football and basketball, I think is just going to be the biggest move. So when it comes to Prism, I can see more optics, select, stuff like that stepping in as far as collegiate goes, making that whole thing come together, which is going to be cool. But yeah, I mean, these have been around for a while, so I just feel like it gravitates more towards the first year of that, especially for Prism, dude. I mean, that Prism's going to continue to grow as far as college sports goes.
The biggest thing I think is we're going to start getting these autos. So how crucial or how important are those first Bowman autos? Like those are the auto for a baseball player, right?
And are they on card though? That's also going to be another thing too. A lot of the modern collegiate, stuff you get is sticker auto, whereas like Bowman Chrome, prospect first autos, those are typically on card. They are on card
Right.
autos.
And that's the thing, like now that these players have access and can sign maybe exclusive deals, even if it's not just like a standalone product, if they're just signed to Panini or Topps, that maybe we're going to start seeing those on-card autos pop up in college products. I think that would be one of the biggest points for these companies to make.
It's going to be a good way to shoot for collecting, especially there's so many fans of college sports, and it's going to be good for them to be able to open these packs and pull these on-card autos. Hopefully they'll be at affordable prices. But a lot of, the generation beforehand is like, it wasn't hard back in the day to go to college games and get those in-person autos, stuff like that. So that's kind of like one of the only downsides. I've noticed that as well with spring training, not just because of COVID, but just because of popularity. Like with spring training games and baseball, like you would always be able to get autos, dude, of the players. So that may take away. That's maybe one of the only downsides I can mention of this, as far as that, like, in-person experience with somebody and being able to get the autograph in person. That might be a downside, but being able to chase these cards as well through packs, of your favorite teams or player, especially for people that are into college sports. I mean, there's also some upside for sure.
Both of us have talked about this before and have in the past, especially whenever I was first getting into it, on should I pick up contenders? Should I pick up draft picks? And you were always kind of like, I mean, it's not going to be as big as them in their first NBA jersey, but go ahead and see what it's like. Open it up, see if you like it. And I did like the parallels. I really like the collegiate football parallels. I think that the colors really pop. especially if you're getting a color of like maybe a team. The first team that kind of pops out to me is like a Tennessee, and you kind of picture that orange, and just having an orange parallel with the orange jersey and the logo on it, like that is kind of sick to me. I really like that aspect. So if they could figure out some sort of way to maybe, like you said, limit the amount of production, with which we both know that Topps and Panini, that's not even in their vocabulary, is limiting production. They just put out so much product. But if they can figure out a way to maybe have kind of like what soccer does in the UK when they do those on-demand sets where they only print a certain amount of sets and that's it. So, you kind of know how many are in production. I think that having some sort of way that we could track the production rate, I know it could deter people from the hobby, but I think I would like to be able to know how many hobby boxes are produced or how many cases of retail are produced. I think that they should kind of limit it that way, because like you said, you don't really want them to flood the market with all these new college products. But if you can figure out a way to maybe only have like that Bowman Chrome type of release, that they only have this one first Bowman and this is their true XRC or RC.
Yeah, and as we've talked about before in many topics, but just the parallel advantage to it, like the base cards, even the silvers. I love silver cards for most rookies, but like knowing the parallels and having, the purple whatever, or whatever color it may be, and it's serial numbered. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that has continued to even when you think of like Luka Doncic rookies and other players, really what's going up for them right now is not just those base or those silvers, but people have gravitated more towards those serial numbered cards. So, having a in whatever future sets come out, like a collegiate sport, having that first card in a gold to 10, or the superfractor 101, if it's available in that product. I mean, these may continue to get bigger and be considered, that person's best card. I mean, that's a possibility, just like a Bowman. Like baseball is not really something to get into on this, because I feel like Bowman's been around for long enough. Let them do their thing. They know what they're doing, you know what I mean? So that's already consistent, and it has been. But with football and basketball, it's kind of just needed this boost as far as like getting that person's first card, because when their rookie year rolls around, they have obviously the prism, the select, the optic, the base, all the way up to the parallels, and then you have all the numerous other products. But to be able to just have that person's first card, I feel like is beneficial, and that's important when it comes to baseball and soccer, like we collect, and most of the time it's stickers.
So this week's Ask the Hobby question of the week is posed to our good friend Jared over at the Cardboard Crew. He's been really supportive of the podcast, really supportive of Raw Mints, and he's a really cool dude, really cool to talk to. So be sure to check him out. Here's the question that we had for him. So when it comes to collecting and investing in cards in the hobby, how does your buying strategy differ between collecting for your PC and investing for a future flip? And how do you approach both? Are you less concerned with the price when it's for your PC, or are you still thinking about the investment? And this is what he had to say.
Hey guys, it's Jared from the Cardboard Crew. I really appreciate you guys having me be part of Wax Talk this week. Big fan of the show. It's become a weekly ritual of mine. Cards, coffee, and contemplation. Big fan, like I said. I appreciate you guys always, being transparent and available via DMs and stuff. You've definitely been a guidance in my journey in the hobby. So thank you, Bruce and Carlos. Without further ado, I do want to answer your question. What are some different buying strategies I use when I'm buying for my PC versus I'm flipping a card? So when I'm buying for my private collection or personal collection, whatever, those cards tend to be more rare. If it's going to be graded, I want a 10, unless it's like, Jim Brown or Mickey Mantle. But those are my serial numbered rookie patch autos, on-card autos, super short prints. I want very rare things. I'm more of when I'm buying things for my PC, I'm looking for rare, quality over quantity. So the more unique, I want that. I know that I'm willing to part with those things because I tend to look at them as a more long-term investment. However, I think everything has a price because there's always another card you'd love to have. So yeah, when I'm buying for my PC, more unique, more quality over quantity, long-term investment, like something I think I'm going to hold on to for a while unless the price is right. That's how I go about the PC. When I'm flipping, I tend to buy more quantity. I like to get lots where you can kind of get a deal, 7 Vlad Junior 9s, PSA 9s for, $120 or something like that. And you're like, dang, that's a really good deal. And some people in the hobby, which I think you need to kind of create intersections for everybody so that everybody can participate. Not everyone can throw down $500 or $600. So I like being able to have a store that is macro, but also for a macro collector who maybe wants to get involved with their kids or something. So they're like, oh, I want a Vlad card, but man, 300's too much. How about a 9 for, $70? I don't know, something like that. And I like that because it's a kind of a trickle up hobby if you stay committed. I was in it out for a long time and then back in, especially with the pandemic and everything and just the resurgence and excitement. But anyhow, so yeah, when I'm flipping, I like to get a deal. I probably won't ask as many questions. I tend not to spend as much. I keep those purchases under $150. I'm not going to probably drop $250 to flip something for $300. So yeah, another difference I'd have to say is when I'm doing a PC and making those purchases, I go into it, I'm a little more critical. So there tends to be a little more stress and anxiety, especially in the mail and how it's going to be packaged, where when I'm purchasing something for a flip, I can kind of just take it for what I'm seeing. I see your ratings, I see the reviews, I can see multiple pictures. So yeah, how I go about purchasing things for my PC and flipping the same. There's always that baseline. And the baseline, I think, what gets me excited about the hobby and into it, and I have to say my expertise is football, is fantasy football. Fantasy football is something I've done for about 15 years. A little less, maybe 13 or 14. And I've done it for money, and I've had a lot of fun and a lot of success. And it's made me significantly obsessed with football. You can just ask my wife. And it's the only reason we have a Sunday ticket, which is very expensive. But I need to watch the Cleveland Browns play and break my heart. But anyhow, I love fantasy football. So that's kind of how I went about my cards. And I've had really good success maneuvering through multiple leagues, high-end leagues and, fun leagues. And I'm just kind of applying that with my purchases. So for both, if I don't believe in the player, if I wouldn't have that player on my fantasy team, if I wouldn't draft that player, if I wouldn't make a trade, like a blockbuster fantasy trade for that player, I probably wouldn't invest for either flipping or long-term, because if I get stuck with it, I want to like or believe in that. And even if that player's not doing hot now, there's going to come a time. For instance, I'm a huge Cleveland sports fan, so I have some Shane Biebers, and his price has dropped significantly. And I was watching him play, and I kept telling my partner, I was like, he's throwing too many pitches. They don't need to leave him in for 110, 115 multiple starts. I think there was even one of 120 pitch count, and I'm like, wow, it's so early in the season. And you watched it, and I was telling it's time to sell. So I took some out of my PC and I sold one. And I took a hit, but the guy was really happy. He got it for his kid. But that kind of thing. I believe in Shane Bieber. I am also a fan of Shane Bieber. I had him on my fantasy baseball team a couple years ago and dominated. A lot of people were all about Corey Kluber. I'm like, you're listed out on this Shane Bieber guy. You're sleeping. And I know how pitchers don't really translate well in the hobby. But here's the thing, Cleveland, small market baseball team, probably won't pay Shane Bieber in a couple years, and he'll probably go to a large market team in New York and LA, somewhere like that. So those cards, those rookie cards, they will come back. So I don't mind holding that. So like I said, I got to believe in the player. Would this player be on my fantasy roster? So I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me. Raw Mints, you guys are awesome. You've been helpful. You've answered questions. You've been an essential guide in my resurgence back in the hobby. So thank you very much, Bruce and Carlos. And I guess now it's time for me to ask you guys a question. I'm going to jump subjects, and we're going to talk about soccer because I know you guys are soccer fans. I know the bare minimum about soccer. I understand the game to, in a sense, and offsides, But I've been a football, baseball, basketball guy my whole life. But my wife and all of her friends, soccer fans. My wife's British. I've started watching soccer recently. I mean, I'd watch the World Cup because that's very exciting. So I guess as a very wet, behind the ears, green, new soccer fan, how do I go about picking a team? Like, I'm from Columbus, so I would cheer for the Crew. But, like, everyone's got these ties to these, really cool football teams. And how do I go about picking the team? Like, when do you know it's right? Especially if you're not from there, or is that essential? Like, well, what are your roots? So I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to identifying in soccer, so I don't want to be a fair weather or jump on a bandwagon. I want to know probably how to sift that. So thank you guys so much. Like I said, huge fans of the show, and I look forward to the next episode. Thanks a lot, guys.
I think that was a really good response. I think that he made some really good points. I love the point that he made of quality over quantity when it comes to your PC, and quantity over quality when it comes to investing. I think that that's the same investment strategy that I kind of use. You know me, I've got so many numbered Mo Salah slabs in my PC, all the way down to numbered to 25. And that's a PSA 10, by the way. And I just like the more rare things. I like the really low pop report cards in my PC, not just because, one, I'm picking it up again because I really like the player or I really like the team, and I got maybe a really rare parallel or a numbered parallel. But if I have, like I said, one of 25 cards in the world, I don't think you can really worry about overproduction in that sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to Jared for the love, man. We really appreciate it.
Right.
I think he made a good point in distinguishing the difference of, he straight up said the cards that he's spending money on is really for the PC, whereas opposed to the other cards that he's picking up as far as the modernized market. If anything, I feel like it's just fueling his to be able to help pay for his PC cards. And you're a good example of that as well. I mean, if you're saving up for something and it's probably going to be a PC card that you have no intention of getting rid of. So I think that's a good point to make, and that's how it should be as far as collectability goes. At the end of the day, he said if the right price comes around, he may consider selling a PC card. But at the end of the day, it's going to take, a price that probably no one's going to want to pay. Because you have this sentimental value on something. So at the end of the day, I feel like saving up for those big PC cards, instead of buying all these little cards that you just don't really know what to do with, or even if you're pulling these cards in general, I think that you should just let them build up, for those actual cards that you're going to want to hold on to for your collection. And just another, I mean, it seems like everybody that is on our show just, they're true collectors, and you can hear it, or they're eager to learn more, and or have been collectors for a while in the past, and they're starting to get back into it. So it's just cool to hear, man.
Exactly. Shout out to the Cardboard Crew for showing the love, for sure. We've chatted and gone back and forth on cards, and he's asked our opinion on a few pickups, and we kind of talked it out and just kind of laid out, and like you said, we try to be as transparent as we can and just be honest and share our knowledge. And if we can put ourselves in the people that are asking these questions' shoes and figure out, okay, this is actually what I would pick up and this is why. And we're not experts by any means, and the hobby, you can be, it's collecting what you like, and that's just kind of what we like. So you kind of just take it with a grain of salt. Because what we like might not be what somebody else likes, but we'll give our reasoning behind it. And we always, strive for serial numbered cards in a high grade, if possible, more rare cards, very low pop cards. And that's another thing to keep in mind too. If you are collecting for your PC, and yeah, everything really does have a price. I mean, that's just what it is. If somebody wants to pay what I'm asking, and they really want it bad, then, I'll consider it. But in picking up these rare cards or these low serial numbered cards, or low pop cards, especially when it comes to the soccer market. It's kind of difficult when it comes time to sell because you don't really know what to put a price on it. You know, like that Mo Salah PSA 10 to 25 that I have, I don't even know what value I'd put on that.
Yeah, and there's also two reasons behind that. One, because it's a very low numbered card, but also because it's soccer. Especially speaking on a graded aspect of it, when it comes to soccer, it's continuing to grow. And dude, especially when PSA is reopen again, you're going to continue to see more soccer cards come back, and you know in the future there's going to be a lot more in circulation that way. But that's also part of the thing too. I mean, because in any other sport, you have something to 25. It's rare as it is, whether it's graded or raw. You know, if you think about it. But when it comes to soccer, it's just like people are now more and more ripping more of this product. But at the same time, how many, you know, even going back to Mbappe 2017, 18 Topps Chrome UEFA. I mean, can you think of how many cases are actually in existence right now?
Right.
And you know
I don't
those
even
cards that
know.
are still waiting to be pulled, and that goes for
Right.
any set. You know, there's still unopened boxes for like any set you can think of for the most part, even going back to vintage. I feel like they do exist, it's just where.
Right. And if they do, if it's before the explosion in the soccer market, I don't think that they produce that much.
Yeah, for
Everything
sure.
past 2018, I think when they started to really see a boom is when they really started to produce a lot more. But a really great response to answer his question. That's kind of a tough one when it comes to choosing a team, for choosing a soccer team or a soccer club. Me personally, I have my favorite players. I think it's easier to choose a club or a team if you have a favorite player.
Any sport, I agree with that 100%. Any sport, if you like a player, pick up their rookie card. That's how it is.
Right. And I think by choosing a club, like I think you meant like to be a fan of too. My two favorite players in soccer are Mo Salah and Edinson Cavani. And when Cavani was Napoli, I was a fan of Napoli. When he moved to PSG, I was a fan of PSG. You know, now that he's on Man U, I'm a fan of Man U. I also like quite a few other players that are on Man U, so that's an easy transition for me. But I also like Chelsea because I like Pulisic. I like Hakim Ziyech. I like Timo Werner. I like Kai Havertz. I like Conte. I choose my clubs. I mean, I have the clubs that I'll always support no matter what. Like I'm a pretty big Chelsea fan, and I was a Chelsea fan, by the way, before they won the Champions League, so it was not a bandwagon move. Trust me, they were not that good until Thomas Tuchel took over the team as the manager. They were not looking good, and he kind of turned that club around. And same thing for Dortmund. Dortmund never wins the Bundesliga. Like it's been a while. Like Bayern runs that league. They just do. They've got
Yep.
killers on that team. But I really like Dortmund because one, they always have some of the best young talents, and it's really nice to see them develop and then go on to be superstars. I like their kits. I've always liked
Yeah,
their
it's
kits.
exactly what I was gonna say. Is their kits are always just stand out.
Right. And that's one thing that attracted me to that team. And they always have really cool they're not like other teams that are more traditional where they maybe change a few lines or a few different things. Like they kind of they really do change their kits each year, like drastically. And I like that a lot
Yeah.
as a graphic designer. That's where I gravitate towards too when people take those chances. And I really started liking Dortmund back when Shinji Kagawa was on the team, which was maybe like
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 years ago. And since then, I've been okay. I'm a Dortmund fan, and then I really started to like them. And Gio Reyna plays for them. Like it's to me, choosing a team starts with choosing the player. So my advice is find a player that you really like. Obviously, everybody likes Messi. Everybody likes Ronaldo. Everybody likes Mbappe and Holland. Like not everybody likes them, but those are the easy ones. But find players like an Edinson Cavani. Find a Cavani type player that is maybe a journeyman, maybe somebody that had once was really, really good. I still think he's one of the best players. He's just getting older. But find a player like that because one, you can you can choose that club wherever they end up, and you can get into their cards for not that much. I have so many dope Cavani cards that I'm not in it for too much if it was compared to Mbappe.
Yeah, and it's okay to like those big players if that helps you lean more towards a specific club or team. Like maybe you like a national team outside of the U.S. And he obviously mentioned the Columbus Crew, which is an MLS team for Major League Soccer, but that's something that I feel like we've only dabbled in specifically if there's a player that we've liked. I know Alfonso Davies was one of them. There's been a few other players, Tyler Adams, but MLS hasn't been the most popular. But realistically, if you think about it, as far as the US goes, it's like it is the American League for soccer. So I feel like it should and will continue to grow and gain more popularity that way. So that's also something not to sleep on, for him. If he has a team from Columbus that he roots for, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I hope he has specific players that he likes and picks up cards of those guys for sure. But just, if you're getting into soccer, especially because it's so available at this point, is just, looking for those players that you like and seeing what teams they play for. What's their national team? Because again, you may end up liking a national team outside of the US, like for you, like I feel like Mo Salah is from Egypt, right?
Right.
So you would be rooting for Egypt if Mo Salah was playing on that, like
Right.
just one of those things you kind of root for. Like with other sports, like I've said, it doesn't matter. Like we're obviously from Arizona, we're rooting for the Suns right now, we root for Arizona teams, but we like other players, and it kind of influences when we're rooting for other games if they're not facing Arizona especially.
Right. But great response, great question, man. Shout out to the Cardboard Crew on Instagram. So let's get into our pickups and flips of the week. So my pickup of the week, another taking advantage of the dip pickup for me, is I picked up a 1998 Topps Chrome Kobe. That's card number 68. I got that in a PSA 9. Super clean card. Some of those Topps Chrome cards are so clean. I really like the photography on this one specifically. That's why I picked it up. And I got that for $142 USD. So pretty happy about that.
And you're helping build that Kobe PC, which is also important.
Exactly.
So I'm happy to hear more pickups. Hopefully, majority of your pickups of the week are going to be Kobe Bryant cards.
Right. I'm here for that.
My pickup of the week is going to be a low grade. This is a BGS 7.5 near mint plus from 2019-20 Panini Mega Cracks La Liga. This is the Ansu Fati rookie card. I feel like it's one of his more true rookie cards. I settled for a BGS 7.5 because I don't want to buy this card raw. I know these are really condition sensitive, even looking back to like the Ronaldo and Messi rookies, but I picked this card up for basically $80. I think it was $79.99, so I'll count it as $80. And in the 7.5, I will upgrade at some point. Honestly, I probably missed out like a month ago when they were a little bit lower as far as even PSA 8s go. But with his injury right now, I know it's questionable, but he's an incredibly young, talented player with potential. I know you could agree with that as well. So I'm just kind of trying to pick up some cards of him that I can. And I know how expensive his Topps Chrome and some other stuff is. So like for me, this is more of a true rookie card. So I'm comfortable, trying to pick up this at whatever decent grade that I can.
Right. And those Mega Cracks, those are the card, man. I think that's, when it comes to soccer, that's synonymous with like Grail cards for sure. So that's a good pickup. My flip of the week was actually a pretty short-term flip. I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to happen because I believe in the Suns. I believe in this player's potential and his shift in the playoffs and what he was doing. I picked up a 2018 Panini Prism DeAndre Ayton, card number 279, green Prism rookie card. And this was, like I said, a PSA 9. And I picked this up on June 22nd, and I picked that up for $36. And I flipped that card not too long ago, maybe like a week ago, for $73. So quick little flip, quick little, couple 3-week flip for me. And I held on to the holo that I picked up because I really like that card, and I got some of his cards out for grading. So I just kind of knew this was coming, and I know how high the production is on these retail parallels. So it wasn't really something that I was going to hold on to anyways. What about you?
My flip of the week, we're going to continue on with the trend of Arizona teams, is going to be a Larry Fitzgerald rookie card. This is a 2004 Bowman. This is the Bowman base card of Larry Fitzgerald, card number 118. I sold this at a PSA 9. I sold it for $60. It went to like a guy that I could tell was just a true Arizona fan. I think that I picked this
Was
card
it
up
Eric?
No, no. I've given him many Larry Fitzgerald rookie cards though, so I've run low on them. I have a few that I've saved. That's why I'm comfortable getting rid of a few, especially when you do like a card show. You want to have some Arizona teams in the showcase. So this Fitzgerald happened to be in the case. It was a PSA 9 Bowman Fitzgerald rookie. I believe I paid years ago. I got this card for I want to say like $18, like $18. So
Nice.
18 to $60. It's a card that can continue to gain value. I know PSA 10s are a lot tougher, but I mean, Larry Fitzgerald is just, he's a GOAT. I mean, if you want to pick up somebody that's established and that's not a quarterback, Larry Fitzgerald is definitely a guy to pick up. And I think that his prices are still reasonable. I mean, I may pick up another PSA 9 Larry Fitzgerald rookie for $60 at some point soon if I can, that's how it goes. So that's my flip of the week.
That's definitely a steal. I'm going to probably have to think of that. Not a huge Cardinals fan, but Larry Fitzgerald is a monster, and he has been his whole career. So, and those are our pickups and flips of the week. All right, man. So today's topic, kind of short and sweet. I just kind of wanted to cover that topic because it came up in recent times as far as the NCAA to start allowing players to start making money off of their name, image, and likeness. And I think that was something important to cover as far as the sports world goes. And I know that I think that it will definitely translate to the hobby. How it affects the hobby, I don't know if it's going to be a positive or negative thing. But if these young superstars and players are making millions and billions of dollars for not only their school, but for the NCAA, it's about time that they start to get a piece of that pie and start to take care of themselves and their family. So I'm all for it. Is it going to affect the college game? Possibly. But if it means that they have a longer professional career and they have a more sustainable lifestyle and they can, provide for their families at the end of the day, I'm all for it, man. I'm 100% an advocate for it. And I hope that we start to see players being able to, get that surgery when they need it and not feel pressured to push it and injure themselves even further until they can make the pros and be able to even afford that. So I'm all for it, man. So I think that's why I wanted to cover it.
We're hoping that it pushes us more into picking up more, college, because we're coming from this podcast is strictly for the most part about cards, and college cards have been around for quite some time now. So if this is something that you've been interested in for a while or recently getting interested in, we recommend trying to pick up some cards, especially for the modern. Most people tend to go for the modern. We drop a cheaper product like the first year for Zion and Ja Morant, their Prism, even football. I think it goes back to like Jared Goff's rookie year, I want to say. Mm-hmm. I'm not completely sure, but I mean, just those kind of things might be notable to try to pick up, is looking into those first year, especially for Prism, because they're gonna start pumping out more and more stuff, and capitalizing on this whole movement. And it always comes down to what's the first set, what's the first card, stuff like that. So just something to consider, especially for those people that are already dedicated and love college sports.
Would you be an easy transition into collecting in the hobby if you're a collector, if you're a fan of it? That's a good point to make, to get in while you can and get in before you know what's going to happen with Topps and Panini, which is they're just going to put out a lot of product most likely. We really hope you enjoyed today's episode. We wanted to say thank you again to Jared from the Cardboard Crew. That's at the Cardboard Crew on Instagram. Be sure to check him out and give him a follow and say what's up to him. Really cool dude. But please be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and share with a friend, share with somebody that might want to learn a little bit more about the hobby and how it relates to the sports world or even just the world in general. And it's really something that you can look forward to. I know that I do. I know that anytime I get a mail day, it's a great day. I've been picking up some wax for the first time in a while, so because of the prices are so low, or well, not so low, but lower than they have been in the past year and a half. So that's been fun and exciting too. And right now is probably the best time to get into the hobby because, there is a price dip right now, and you could start getting cards that you may not have been able to get at the same price even 3 months ago. That's why I've been picking up as many Kobe slabs as I can, because they were much higher than I was willing to pay for, I guess. But thank you again for tuning in to this week's episode and continuing to listen to us speak about cards. We really hope that you stick around and continue to listen each week. So this has been an episode of Wax Talk with Raw Mints. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Bruce.
Thank you for listening.